Hello, this is going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to try. I'm going to use this little pointer here is going to be Clyde the coding cat. He's going to help me point things out to you. And I wanted to get a little bit of information on what we're talking about today out for you. So this is something we're doing as our asynchronous lesson, which means you're doing it on your own. What I want you to think about is when you're playing video games, there might be times when you need more than one thing to be true. For example, if you have ammo but not a gun, you couldn't really shoot. And if you had a weapon without ammo, same thing. So, in a situation where both need to be true, we use this little symbol here that looks like it's actually two ampersands together. It's called an AND operator. And we use that in code to make sure that we can set up the conditions so that both need to be true. Another example might be an OR. In C++, when we're doing an OR, we use two vertical bars. Now, on the keyboard, that might be a little bit unusual for you to look for that on the keyboard. It's actually going to be right above the enter key on most keyboards. It's a vertical bar that they use two of them again. So the other thing is I want to make sure we talk about is the not operator, which is an exclamation mark in everyday language. So if we wanted to see if something was not true, we would use that. Here's what you're going to do is you're going to open up a Google Doc and copy some code into the GDB online debugger. I want you to see how to copy and paste that. So I'm going to do a little bit of a demo here. The document right here is called Try Some Logic in Programming. It's actually provided for you in a Google Doc. You've got read-only access to that. So if I open this document up, just like you will, you'll see the code that I want you to try. Don't worry about how many lines of code there is or what it does. The key point here is you can do a select all, which is Control A, or you could drag your mouse and highlight everything. And once you get all of, or you could put yourself in front of the first line, hold down Shift, and then hold down the down arrow as you make yourself go all the way down. So yeah, if you saw my keyboards, it might make more sense. Now, there's some lines of code in here that I haven't taken the time to show you. I haven't showed you, but I want you to go ahead and try the code. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to feel empowered to grab code that you might not even be familiar with and actually try it in the compiler. So with it highlighted, I believe it's Control C within the Google world. Can't really do a right click and copy. Well, maybe you can. All right. Well, since that's been copied, now I want you to go into the GDB online system. And if you don't have it bookmarked yet, I would suggest that you do. Yesterday's activity is something that walked you through it. Now, as I say that, I'm realizing I don't have it bookmarked. So I'm going to go to the GDB online, which is our compiler. Since I'm logged on to Google as myself, it should recognize my account, and it should log me into GDB online. All right, here's a GDB Online starting point, but it's not necessarily set up for C++. So over here, just to be sure I'm starting out fresh, I'm going to click on the New Projects. I was expecting to see New Projects here. Let me click on Classroom first. There we go. Use Google to sign in if you haven't already. Login was successful for me. You might need to authenticate yourself. And right up at the top here now, we see Create New Project. So thank you, Clyde. We're going to click on Create New Project. And what we're going to do here is we're going to select our language. We just want to get in the habit of making sure we set that. So if you follow Clyde over here, we're going to go C++. And remember, I've got the code copied over. Now what I'm going to do is highlight the text that's in here, and I'm going to do a paste. Just a Control V to paste it in. Now this is working code that I'm giving you. So the next thing you can do is actually click on this command that says run right over here. So if I click on run, you'll see the output start to occur down here. Now we have some commands that are going to actually ask you to do things like input your name and press enter. So if student was in here, put in his name Stu. Hello, Stu, follow along. So what you can do is you can actually, this is a reminder that we're using 1 for true and 0 for false. and we're going to do a demonstration of the not operator, which is the exclamation mark. So you can run it more than once. This time I'm going to start out true, and it might be a little difficult to see all of this on one screen. So this happened pretty fast here. All right, so apply the not operator. It's called the exclamation mark. It's a not operator. The use of the not operator flips the value to opposite. The value's been changed and is now 0. 0 is false. Above, you notice, is the opposite of the original value. So pause not found is an error we'll need to fix. And so now here's something it's like saying it's not opposite day, which is kind of a double negative. And so when we change it back and forth, we took it from false, so we changed it twice. It changed it right back to false again. So that's like flipping a switch. And later in the day, if you look further down, one of my links is to a humorous video on the idea of flipping switches. And that's basically what we're doing, is we're flipping switches with true and false. See, I've got another error with clear screen. So there's a couple of minor errors. The code will work. We get all down here. Stu, let's have a look at an operator called and. Apples and bananas are both what? They're both fruits. They're both red. They're both yellow. So your answer will determine how the rest of the program goes. Just wanted to show you that copy and paste functionality. I'll let you play with that. I would suggest you look at the code, apply your critical thinking, and see what the code looks like. There's things we haven't taken the time to go through, but I want to make sure, since you don't have any questions, I'm going to throw some things out there that I hope prompt questions. I'm going to drop back into the Google Classroom and make sure that I talk about some other things that are out here. Now, these are resources to you, and don't be shy about using resources such as anything from a tutorial spot. This is actually a couple of sites here need to have Flash enabled for them to work. So let me jump to one of them that might have some questions for you. It is Logic Gate Simulating. So I'm going to click on this link over here, the Logic Lab Simulating. It's going to open up a new website. And the thing is, this uses Flash. And some schools might have a warning message up near the top. I'm using the corner. You might need to go to Site Options, and you might need to enable Flash for this site. Now, what I can do here is I can actually bring out logic ports. So in this section down below here, you'll see logic ports. And what I want you to be able to do is bring those into play. So if I open this up, I can bring out, for example, an AND operator. Now, this needs inputs and it has an output. So as I reopen the input area, I'm going to bring in a slider switch, and I'm going to drag a wire from pin to pin, making a connection. So these are currently set to down, which is off, like on a light switch. And if they're both true, we'll see what the result is of the AND. I'm going to collapse input by clicking on the double arrows here. And what I'm looking for is outputs. So down in outputs, I'm going to grab a light bulb, make a connection from the AND to the light bulb. They're currently both off. If I turn one on and the other, it returns true. If I turn either one of them off, it's false. Therefore, both must be true in order for an AND to return an AND situation. I'd also like you to look at things in logic ports, such as the NOT. This gets a little bit funky, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag this into the NOT operator and bring it over here. The combination is a little bit weird. They're both true, which would return true, but the NOT flips it to the opposite value, and the light bulb's off. So if either one of these gets turned off, or both of them, it now returns true. Combining logic in this way allows programmers to set up very complex logic, but it's all built from these very simple building blocks of and, not, or, etc. And so this is an area where you can play. You're not necessarily in the room where this became pretty chaotic at one point in time, but what we can do is we can actually have it make a propeller spin, we can have it make a noise,